Welcome back to your tutor training on factoring. So far, we have already talked about factoring out all common monomials. And remember, you can do that for any polynomial as long as they have common factors. So it doesn't matter how many terms those polynomials have. However, we also talked about when there are 4 terms, you want to factor by grouping. So if there are 4 terms, you can chop it in half, group 2 at a time. Today we're going to start talking about what if there are 3 terms. And notice there are 3 different methods that we're going to talk about with this. In this video, we're going to talk about these 2. The next one we'll talk about special cases. So 3, or method number 3 here, is for what we like to call fast trinomials, where the first coefficient is 1. Let's start with that. So it'll look something like this. I'll have x squared plus some coefficient x plus a constant at the end. And what that means is when you multiply the 2 parentheses together to get that trinomial, that will just be an x in the first 2 parentheses. And then you're going to multiply everything out, and it'll give you 2 things that add to be the middle term, but multiply to be the constant. Okay? So for fast trinomials, you're going to look for 2 numbers whose product, meaning multiplication, is c, and whose sum, meaning addition, is b. And it'll look something like this. You're going to fill in the blanks with those 2 numbers. Let me give you an example. So here is a fast trinomial, you know, because there's just a 1 at the front. X squared minus 11x plus 24. Alright, so I'm going to look at the factors of 24. Even list them out. Factors of 24. So 1 and 24. I was going to add up to be 11? No. 2 and 12. Add to be 14. You know, you can even make a little table. Some students like to organize it this way. Their sum is 25, 14, not working out. Okay, 3 and 8 is close, but it gives us positive 11. So we're going to need instead negative 3 and negative 8, because those will multiply to be positive 24, but add to be negative 11. And once you find those, you're just going to plop them in the parentheses. Minus 3 and minus 8. That's why we call these fast trinomials. Because once you find the 2 numbers, you don't have to do anything else. You just put them in parentheses with the x values. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try these 2. Welcome back. Let's see, on this one, you should have found that you can add 10 and 3. Those will multiply to be 30. And on this last one, you're going to have, because you're going to multiply to be a negative, you're going to have both a positive and a negative. And then add to be negative 2, so that's going to be positive 5 and negative 7. Okay, you want to make sure that those work. You can always multiply the 2 binomials together and see if you end up with that fast trinomial answer. Alright, well, what if in front there is not a 1? Maybe it's something else. So let's look at that. Okay, so you can call these slow trinomials when they have just something else in front. And you can guess and check, you can try different things, but this is a process that will always work for these trinomials. It's called the AC method. I actually didn't learn this method until I started teaching here. I never learned it in school. Just guessed and checked my whole life. So you're welcome. You're lucky. Alright, so 2-factor trinomials by grouping that look like this are slow trinomials. And you can actually even do this with fast trinomials. It will work as well. We're going to walk through it with this example problem. Alright, first step, multiply a times c. I always like to label those a, b, and c. So our first step is we're going to multiply 8 times 5. Equals 40. Alright, step 2 is going to feel a lot like what we did with fast trinomials. We're going to find 2 numbers and multiply to be not c, not to be 5, but to the number that we found in step 1. So we're going to find, we can make a little table, factors of, and your students might have ways that they organize this as well. It'd be good to know. And learned that from them. So factors of 40. And we want to see what they add up to be. We need them to add up to be negative 14. Don't lose the negative. Alright, so 2 and 20. Nope. 4 and 10. Oh, that's positive 14. But we need, again, 2 negatives. Alright, so here, though, is where it differs between fast trinomials and slow trinomials. We need to rewrite the middle term. We don't just plop them into parentheses. It's not that fast. Using the factors found in step 2. So we're going to take the ax squared, remains the same, and the c will remain the same, but down here in the middle, we need, to subtract 10x and subtract 4x. And it actually does not matter which order you write that in, so if you want to swap them, it should still work. Now step 4, you're going to factor just like we did with the 4 terms because we have 4 terms now. And so we're going to group these. Again, I like to chop it in half. Chink! And I'm going to look at the first 2 terms. I can pull out a 2x, and I'm left with 4x minus 5. Okay. Notice it doesn't at first glance look like they have anything in common in the second half of our problem here. But we could pull out a negative 1, and that would change the signs to match the other parentheses. Factor out that 4x minus 5 that matches, and put our leftovers in the other parentheses. 2x minus 1. If we multiply that up, we get 8x squared minus 14x plus 5. Alright, I want you to try this one on your own, so go ahead and pause, try it out. Okay, you should have got in either order, this one first or the next one, 3x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. If you got that, go ahead and stop the video. But if not, stick around, we'll walk through it together. So 6 times 3 is our first step, that is 18. And we're going to look for factors of 18 that add up to be 11. And that ends up being 2 times 9. Step 3, you can write this in either order, and it should still work. Chink, cut that in half. Step 4 is to group it, so I'm going to factor out 2x, 3x plus 1, and here I'm going to factor out a positive 3. So I factor out the 3x plus 1, and my leftovers are 2x plus 3 in the other parentheses. There you go. Alright, you've got 4 methods, just to review. Factor out all the common factors. Method 2, factor by grouping with 4 terms. 3 and 4, and we'll talk about all of the method 5s in the next video. Well done.